Hello and welcome to Mansell Kart Racing Club for a special IndyBlue TNT event brought to you by Torster Travel. It's the 29th of October 2023 and the Formula Blues are lined up on the grid ready to head out on track for their final this afternoon. Unfortunately, we have to start with a bit of bad news. We were unable to film the event at Clay Pigeon for the final round of the Two Counties Kart Club Championship, but Dave Watts would take the win and in doing so earn himself the 2023 Matthew Percy Memorial Trophy. He would head home Joey Foster with Anthony Cleal, Paul Alexander and Harry Smithson in behind, making up the top five, ahead of Robin Stones and Stuart Gray. But what that result will do to the Two Counties Championship, it will confirm that Dave Watts is the 2023 Two Counties Kart Club champion ahead of Anthony Cleal, Joey Foster in third ahead of Harry Smithson and Paul Alexander making up the top five, with Steve Groves, David Waldron, Mike Bell, Robin Stones and Max Gunter completing the top 10 ahead of Rob Mortimer, Nigel Vickery, David Good, Mitch Carpenter and Alex Kemp, rounding out the top 15 in the overall placings ahead of Kevin O'Neill, Alex Fortune, Stuart Gray, Kieran Quirk and Chris Underhill. In the Blue Masters standings, it would be a tie on the day between Anthony Cleal and Joey Foster, keeping them 1 and 2 in the Masters, ahead of Paul Alexander, Steve Groves, David Waldron, Robin Stones, Rob Mortimer, Nigel Vickery, David Good and Alex Kemp, making up the top 10 in the Blue Masters standings. In the Blue Veterans standings, it would be a similar looking affair, once again with Anthony Cleal winning on the day to declare him the 2023 Veterans Champion, ahead of Paul Alexander, with Steve Groves, David Waldron and Robin Stones making up the top 5, ahead of David Good, Rob Mortimer, Nigel Vickery, Chris Underhill and Kevin O'Neill completing the top 10 in the Blue Veterans class. In the Blue Legends class, it was a win on the day for Robin Stones to declare himself the champion for 2023 ahead of David Good, Kevin O'Neill, Stuart Gray and Chris Underhill would complete the top 5. And in the Blue Top Weights, it was an uncontested victory for Paul Alexander, meaning he will clean sweep the top weight section. He's going to be finishing ahead of Rob Mortimer, David Waldron, Stuart Adam and Tom Parker. But on to today's affairs. Heat 1 was won by Rich Puddle ahead of James Dawkins, Anthony Cleal in third ahead of Kevin Ford and Mike Bell to complete the top 5, with Max Gunter, Alex Fortune, Paul Alexander, Robin Stones and Ron Schoen making up the top 10. Heat 2 was won by Anthony Cleal, once again ahead of James Dawkins with Rich Puddle in third. Kevin Ford would be fourth ahead of Max Gunter, with Stuart Adam, Ron Schoen, Paul Wheeler, Nigel Vickery and Mike Bell making up the top 10. And in the third and final heat, it was Anthony Cleal taking the victory from Rich Puddle and James Dawkins, rounding out the top 3 ahead of Kevin Ford, with Max Gunter, Stuart Adam, Ron Schoen, Paul Alexander, Mike Bell and Nigel Vickery making up the top 10. Those 3 heats in the books and you can see the grid lined up ready to go. It's Anthony Cleal number 1 on pole position. He's joined on the front row by Rich Puddle. James Dawkins and Kevin Ford make up row 2 ahead of Max Gunter and Stuart Adam, with Mike Bell beating Ron Schoen on tiebreak on row 4 ahead of Paul Alexander and Robin Stones. Paul Wheeler comes next ahead of Nigel Vickery, with Alex Fortune, Phil Shears and Chris Lord completing the grid. It looks like a few problems starting there for Robin Stones and Stuart Adam, the numbers 13 and 21. So hopefully they can get going on the external start as the grid heads up through the cut through. There's Shelley going out to join the camera team. We hop on board with number 51, Nigel Vickery, as the pack heads up to Hanger Bend, slowing down into a 2x2 rolling formation. Cleal and Rich Puddle on the front row, James Dawkins and Kevin Ford in behind. Hopping on board now with Paul Alexander, Mike Bell ahead of us. There's Ron Schoen coming up alongside in the number 15. And it looks like we are ready to go as through the chicane goes the pack. Hopping on board with Max Gunter, look ahead for the lights. And we are underway, and a good start there from Dawkins ahead of us. Kevin Ford moving to the inside, Rich Puddle stuck outside, but it's Anthony Cleal leading the way ahead of Dawkins, Puddle, Ford. And that is Stuart Adam joining the race as the pack heads out of turn 1. Now it's Mike Bell going past Ron Schoen and looking to try and get up the inside of Max Gunter, but Gunter hanging on. Now Paul Alexander following Bell through past Ron Schoen. Schoen goes for the cutback though, and Nigel Vickery looking to get stuck in as well, as Paul Wheeler in there too. But Ron Schoen makes the place back against Paul Alexander, but Alexander back down the inside as they exit the loop on the way up towards Hanger Bend for the first time of asking. It's Cleal leading from Dawkins, Puddle, Ford, Gunter, Bell, Alexander, Schoen, Vickery and Wheeler as the pack heads down towards the chicane. At the end of the first lap, and Ron Schoen looking aggressive on the back of Paul Wheeler. as down go the leaders. James Dawkins and Anthony Cleal starting to break away with Rich Puddle in third place ahead of Kevin Ford, and something's fallen off there. It looks like to be the chain guard off of Rich Puddle, so unfortunately that will draw out a mechanical flag and end Puddle's race early, so that's a real shame for the number 24, but for now he is third on the road with Kevin Ford right behind him as we hop on board with Max Gunter in the Praga, chasing Ford's red speed as they go through the complex, and now heading up towards Hanger Bend once again. Nigel Vickery on the tail of Ron shown further back, but James Dawkins really putting the pressure on Anthony Cleal in the lead of the race as they head down towards the chicane. And right, left and right, and here comes the pack down into the chicane themselves, and sure enough there the flag going out. I would assume that is for Puddle due to the missing chain guard, as Nigel Vickery down the inside of Ron Schoen into pit bend. Good move there by the Welshman. Back on board with Gunter. Kevin Ford ahead of us in the number 46, the red speed. He's now got Rich Puddle ahead, but he would have seen the warning flag coming out for Puddle, so he knows it's only a matter of time, but he's got Gunter all over him to be worried about. Further back there, Ron Schoen putting the pressure back on against Nigel Vickery as we hop back on with Gunter once again. And there's the leaders, James Dawkins right on the back bumper, looking every which way to try and get round past Anthony Cleal as they head into the chicane they go. Then there's the next group of carts, and Anthony Cleal feeling the need to go a bit defensive down the start finish. James Dawkins still in his slipstream, and Stuart Adam further back starting to catch up against Paul Wheeler, so Adam with a late start to the race looking to get himself stuck in. Back on board with Gunter through the complex we go, and you can see the gap starting to open up now between the top two and the rest of the pack. There's Kevin Ford, he's looking to chase Rich Puddle. Max Gunter trying to go with him and maybe challenge for what will then become third place, as the leaders still bumper to bumper through the hairpin. There's Mike Bell ahead of Paul Alexander, and still we go bumper to bumper. Will James Dawkins make a move down to the inside for pit bend? No, he's not quite close enough. But these two beginning to run away with this one as they go up towards the complex. Through the hairpins they go. Look at Dawkins looking to try and get the run out on exit against Anthony Cleal. Still in his wheel tracks as they head up towards the exit of the loop. And further back there, that is Max Gunter right on the bumper of Kevin Ford as they've all gone past Rich Puddle. Now Gunter, he's eyeing up that third position, currently occupied by the red speed of Kevin Ford, but the leader's still as close as ever. There's the battle for third. Mike Bell starting to close in, but through the chicane they go, still nose to tail. Down across the start line to finish another lap, and still bumper to bumper into pit bend. Further back there, Ford looking a bit defensive against Max Gunter, who's just looking to try and get the run out on exit. Here he goes, looking towards the inside for the hairpin, and up the inside goes Max Gunter in the number 8. The Praga passes the red speed, but Ford looking to get a run straight out back against him. Side by side up the back straight, but Ford slots in behind and Max Gunter makes the pass into third. As we hop on board with number 51, Nigel Vickery further back, he's chasing Paul Alexander. Alexander out on his 4 plate. The new national seedings coming into effect from this round. As through the chicane it goes, Cleal and Dawkins. Once again, bumper to bumper stuff for the lead. It's now the pack on the back straight, beginning to spread out a little bit. Here's Vickery though, he's got Paul Alexander in his sights. The two Tony carts, as Vickery really gaining on the straight, using the slipstream to the maximum. And now on the way out of pit bend, Vickery looking to the inside, nothing doing there, looking to set up now for the run down the back straight. And Alexander's going to hold position as we hop up the track on board with number 2, Mike Bell. He's looking to get stuck into this third place battle between Max Gunter and Kevin Ford. But for the lead, still nose to tail, heading down to finish another lap. Anthony Cleal leading the way ahead of James Dawkins. Back up to Hanger Bend. Paul Alexander still with Vickery on his tail. And Anthony Cleal has started to open up a gap that has gotten about a length bigger since the last time we saw it. So potentially a mistake in the chicane by Dawkins. Then there's Gunter, Ford and Bell. The three karts contesting third place. In behind though, Nigel Vickery looking once again against Paul Alexander. Nothing doing on the right, looking to switch back to the left. Through the complex they go, and onto the back straight. We've seen Vickery has the top end advantage, and he closes up once again right onto the bumper under braking, as they're going to head up towards Hanger Bend now. As into the chicane go the leaders. Anthony Cleal keeping James Dawkins at an arm's length as they head on to yet another lap. 9 minutes plus a lap this final, so we're going to have a fair few laps in the books. And there's Max Gunter. He looks like he started to open that gap up a bit against Kevin Ford. Mike Bell trying to close in as well in 5th position. And then there's Alexander and Vickery, nose to tail. Vickery once again with the run out of turn 1, but not able to do anything into the complex. Alexander sliding wide though, could potentially set Vickery up for a run down the back straight, using all the slipstream to its fullest. Further back there's Ron Schoen with Stuart Adam on his tail. Round off of the loop on the run up towards Hanger Bend. Should be a place where Vickery is strong, but into pit bend once again. James Dawkins doing everything he can to try and close back in against Cleal. There's the battle for 6th going into the chicane. Vickery looking for the run out on exit, and he's got the run, he's in the tow. He's going down the inside, and a good move there from Vickery. Now can he hold the line on exit? Sure enough he can, and now Paul Alexander needs to try and find a way back past. Thinks about going up the inside straight away, but nothing happening there as there's the battle for 3rd. Towards the exit of the loop, Vickery feeling the need to go defensive down the back straight. And then Ron Schoen has Stuart Adam right on his tail for the lead. It's starting to open up a little bit. Anthony Cleal pulling away from James Dawkins. As further back, Nigel Vickery and Paul Alexander up into Hanger Bend. And Stuart Adam right on the back bumper of Ron Schoen just a little bit further back. Paul Wheeler in there as well. And Paul Alexander now looking to try and close in against Vickery. And you can see the exit there from Vickery. He's going to open that gap up a little bit down the straight. But look further back, Stuart Adam looking like he was going to go down the inside against Ron Schoen, but Paul Wheeler in there as well. It's a three-way battle for 8th position. And Vickery and Alexander nose to tail in front of them, and here comes Stuart Adam down the inside. Good move by the number 21, but can Ron Schoen switch back on him? We'll soon find out who's going to get here first. It's going to be Adam ahead of Schoen, ahead of Wheeler. And that battle is far from finished as Anthony Cleal heads across the line, and that is the last lap board out. So James Dawkins has 1 lap to go to pull up something out of the hat. And then the battle for 3rd, they're also going to be taking the last lap board this time by. Paul Alexander looking at Nigel Vickery into the chicane. And that is Kevin Ford right on the tail of Max Gunter. So Ford with a late race charge could be contesting that 3rd place. Now hopping on board with Paul Wheeler. Number 51 ahead of us, that's Nigel Vickery, and Alexander is looking, he knows there's half a lap to go, and Alexander goes for the inside, oh, and there's contact, and Vickery gets turned around, and they both get hooked up. Stuart Adams going to run around the outside, and Paul Wheeler's going to go straight through the middle. He's going to pass Ron Schoen as well, so Paul Wheeler in the right place at the right time, but across the line to take victory, and he's very excited about it. The inaugural IndyBlue TNT winner is Anthony Cleal. Looking further back now, Kevin Ford on the tail of Max Gunter, but he's going to run out of time. Mike Bell likewise in 5th spot, and across the line goes this battle. The Praga beats the Red Speed and the Octane. And then who's going to be 6th in behind? Stuart Adams going to cross the line next, and then it's going to be Paul Wheeler. So Ron Schoen unable to repass Wheeler, who was in the right place to take advantage of Nigel Vickery and Paul Alexander coming together as Vickery and Alexander limp across the line. And that's going to round out the finishers for the IndyBlue TNT as the pack heads back down to the pit lane. Torster Travel having put £1,000 worth of holiday vouchers on the line, so Anthony Cleal is going to be doubly happy for his win. This is going to take it by 1.16 seconds ahead of James Dawkins. Max Gunter moving up into third ahead of Kevin Ford and Mike Bell completing the top 5. Paul Wheeler would be sixth ahead of Ron Schoen and Nigel Vickery, with Paul Alexander in 9th place. Stuart Adam declared a lap down after a late start, and Rich Puddle coming in early. Unfortunately, Robin Stone's unable to get going, likewise Alex Fortune, Phil Shears and Chris Lord. And that is going to be it for the on-track action for the Formula Blues, but the prize payout, Anthony Cleal will win £1,000 worth of holiday vouchers. James Dawkins in second in the event gets 500 ahead of Max Gunter. Kevin Ford, Mike Bell and Rich Puddle finishing in the overall prize bracket. Ron Schoen would be the leading top weight and get £150 worth ahead of Stuart Adam, and Paul Alexander, third in that class, would take a further spot. Likewise, Robin Stones for the Legends. As the pack into the pit lane, that is going to conclude the on-track action for Formula Blues for 2023, and the 2024 season just around the corner. Make sure to get your entries in, and we will see you then. Goodbye.